Yo, what is up guys? It's Talon. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to play Vi in Wild Rift. She's one of the easiest junglers in Wild Rift to learn, yet she's one of the most effective as well. Her early ganking and early team fighting is really strong and allows her to get easy leads as well as get her teammates ahead. And once you get to the later parts of the game, she becomes a super powerful tank that's really good at locking down the enemy carries. Anyways, let's get right into the video. Okay guys, so I'm just going to give you guys the basic combos and everything like that you'll typically want to do on Vi. So first we'll just go through her abilities and her passive. So the way her passive works is your every third auto attack, it will basically give you I think we'll read it just to make sure. So it's more damage, and then it also reduces the enemy armor and gives you attack speed. So it's going to be very useful just for getting as much damage on people as possible. So any third auto will allow you to do it, and you can combo this with your Qs. So 2 autos plus a Q works. 1 auto, 1 E, and then a Q, anything like that. Your Q just counts as one of the procs on it. So you can see 1, 2, 3, boom. And so the way I'm going to want to combo that is going to be typically doing just Q, auto, and then E, and then boom, it's popped as fast as possible. I missed my auto, but typically it would be popped. So now to go into her abilities, first you have her first ability. Just a dash that gives damage, very simple. Dash into them, knock them up, deal damage. After that, you have her second ability, which is a shield, and the way it works is every time that you auto attack or use any ability, it gives you a stack to it, up to a maximum of 5 stacks. Once you get 5 stacks, you get movement speed if you do use the shield, whereas before you just get shielding from it and nothing else. Lastly, we have her E, which basically is just an auto attack, but it does more damage, and it also does splash damage. So you can see here, I can basically go here and I can hit the person all the way over there with the splash damage of the E. It's actually a pretty long range too, which I'll show you guys a clip of earlier or later on how that works. And you can use it as an auto attack reset. So you can use auto, E, and then boom, it'll auto really quickly. And then lastly is her ultimate, which basically just latches onto someone as a point and click, and it knocks them up, does damage to them, and then puts you right behind them. So for some basic combos now with Vi, first let me just hit this guy over here. So for some basic combos on Vi, one important one is to understand Q flash. So you can use your Q, and then you can flash, and then you get to knock up onto someone and get the damage. After that, again, make sure you're using autos in between every ability that you do, just because it's going to be the quickest way to do it. So you can see I could use someone, auto, boom, and then again I auto in between. So just every ability, make sure you're autoing it in between. Again, a full combo is going to look something like this, where I'm going to just be as fast as possible doing all of this. And then the last important thing to keep in mind is when you ult onto someone, you go behind them and then you can use your Q to bump them. So basically, say your teammate's right here and they're trying to deal damage to someone, and then you engage onto this person, you can basically push them into your team after ulting onto them, and it's going to buffer them as well, kind of knocking them back, and it's going to be really useful in general. So those are some of the basic combos, and then make sure when you're smiting, typically you want to auto attack and then E and then smite. And if you can, you want to combo this with your passive if you're trying to smite something. So if you can, auto once, 2 times, and then the third auto is when you combo your smite, because you're going to get maximum damage onto stuff. So those are some of the basic combos. It's kind of how Vi works. Hopefully you guys understand that, and now let's get into the next part of the video. Okay guys, and then here I just want to show you a short clip of how the E works. So I'm going to go and try to look for a gank here on bot lane. You're going to see I use my W to speed up onto someone, and then I do go onto the Sona here, but you're going to see the Sona is going to get away on 1 HP. So what am I going to do? I'm going to walk at the Caitlyn, I'm going to wait for my E to come up and boom my E and snipe her. So just a simple thing to keep in mind, you can actually snipe people by using something else, you know, as like a buffer, and then your E can snipe someone who's further away. So just like a little thing to keep in mind for a quick Vi combo as well. Okay guys, so starting off with the build, you're going to want to start with Trinity Force, which you can switch to Divine Sunder if you're into a lot of tanks. After that, you're going to go for either Steel Plated Stone Plate or Mercury Tread Stone Plate. Mercury Treads is going to be better into a lot of AP, and Steel Plated Caps are going to be better into AD. After that, you're going to have 2 main items that you're going to go for. You're either going to go for Death Dance or Sterak's Gauge. Death Dance is going to be really good into a lot of armor, and then Sterak's Gauge is going to be good into more mixed damage types. Now in those rare scenarios where you do face a lot of AP, you can switch this to a Mob Malmortius, but typically I'll actually just go for the Hex Drinker component, and then I'll finish the Mob Malmortius later. Just make sure if you do build Ma, keep in mind you cannot build Sterak's as well, because the Lifeline passives do not stack together. So after that, again, normally we'll go for Death Dance, then Sterak's Gauge. After that, I'm going to typically be going for Twin Guard, and then my last item is going to be Thornmail or Spirit Visage, and some other situational tank items like these ones that all could be built in certain scenarios, but those are pretty niche, so I won't go through all of those. Typically, Thornmail is going to be best for anti-healing, and if you do need the anti-healing earlier, you're going to just build the Bramble Vest component and then finish that Thornmail later on. And then for the runes, we're going to typically go for Aftershock, but this is very, very up to you. You could go for Kraken Slayer if you want a lot of early damage. Conquer is going to be a good mix where you still get that sustain from the Omnivamp, but you do also get the extra damage. And honestly, Conquer is what most people prefer. Aftershock is more my own personal thing, but definitely if you prefer the higher damage, go for Conquer. After that, the runes here are also pretty situational. I prefer the Resolve tree going for Courage of the Colossus, Bone Plating, and then Perseverance, which I'll switch to Overgrowth if they don't have much CC. But if you do prefer the Precision tree, that's totally fine. You would go for Triumph or Brutal, honestly, both would be fine. Coup de Grace, and then you'd go for Tenacity or Alacrity. Tenacity would be better into CC, and Alacrity if they don't have a lot of CC. But again, for me, I typically prefer this, and then I go Triumph as my additional rune. But this could become a Giant Slayer if you need a Giant Slayer. If you just want to kill someone, you know, one-shot them, you could go for Coup de Grace. You could go Tenacity if you need it. You know, there's so many different things that you could go here, but typically I prefer the Triumph. And then obviously you're going Smite and Flash. No real other options unless you're playing it in lane, then you go for Ignite, but this champ's more of a jungler, so typically I'd recommend playing it in the jungle. Anyways, let's get into the next part of the video. Okay guys, so I'm going to take you through the most typical clear that I'm going to do on Vi. So first off, I'm going to start by dropping a control ward onto my blue buff. After that, I'm going to recall and get a sweeper. Once I get that sweeper, I'm going to run straight to red buff, upgrade my E. Make sure you don't upgrade your E until you actually get to the red buff, because you might need the Q to escape if someone invades you really early on. So you see here, then I got my E. I'm going to auto reset as fast as possible. Kite the blue buff out, or the red buff out. Make sure you're getting it as close to the left as possible so that you can then dash straight onto the Raptors as soon as you get level 2. You're going to see as soon as I get it to 581 health, I smite it immediately. After that, I'm going to go to the Raptors and I'm going to kite them down so that I'm able to go as fast as possible to the Wolves after this. You can see how every time that I auto, I'm walking back in between, making sure that I'm able to do this as fast as possible. Then you see there, I didn't use my smite on the Raptors because it allows me to get this dash as perfectly as possible onto these Wolves. So then again, I'm kiting the Wolves towards the blue buff because that's my next location. So you just see, I'm making sure I'm kiting everything as close to possible to the next location so that I'm able to maximize my speed on this. Again, I'm still not using my smite. I'm going to save my smite for the Gromp. And then make sure you kite your blue buff into the bush so it's harder for someone to steal. You see, I should have kept it in the bush a bit longer. But once you get the blue buff to 200 HP, then you're going to want to combo your dash onto both the blue buff and the Gromp to maximize your damage. Then you're going to use Smite on Gromp. And then you can see that I'm already at the Scuttle basically as soon as it spawns. So obviously this is the best path for Vi, but there are situations where you're going to want to end up on the opposite side of the map. In that case, you can start blue buff, then go Gromp, go Wolves, go Raptors, go Red, go Scuttle, then go Krugs. If you do want to do an earlier gank, of course, you can change your pathing up based on that, like just do a full red side and do mid gank or something like that. But this is the typical clear that I'm going to do on Vi for most games, and it's going to allow me to, as fast as possible, get that clear, you know, get as many camps as possible. And you can see here, I can go straight to my Krugs, and I could get level 5 off the Krugs. Now I do end up dying because I'm bad, but don't worry about that. Anyways, let's get into the next part of the video. Okay guys, for the last part of this video, I'm going to take you through how to play Vi in the different parts of the game. So starting off with the early game, the typical pathing again that I showed you guys, that's what you're going to want to do. And then after you do that pathing, coming to these Krugs allows you to get level 5 really easily. And that's when you're going to want to look for your first gank most often. Now, sometimes earlier ganks will show up, and if those opportunities occur, then, you know, take them. But this is going to be a typical opportunity where you're going to want to go for a kill. Now, even if your ultimate doesn't get a lot of value, it's okay because it'll be back up for the dragon. So you might as well look for an opportunity to go for one. So in this situation, the wave is clearly pushing into my Echo, meaning Renekton will soon walk forward. I know 100% he has the level advantage. He's going to get cocky. He's going to try to go for the kill, and that's when I use my ult for an easy kill early on to just get, you know, a good start for my Echo. Again, playing around that ultimate timing is very crucial for setting up early ganks as Vi. The next crucial thing to understand on Vi is her power spikes. So once again, her first power spike is going to be at level 5 looking for that early gank. After that, Trinity Force / Divine Sunderer is going to be your best next power spike, whichever Sheen item you decide to go for. Typically, if you get 1 to 2 kills in the early game, you can get Trinity Force if you farm efficiently alongside that. So you can see here, I get Trinity Force before the first dragon. And in this situation, when you get that Trinity Force and you're really strong early on, that's when you're going to want to look for fights around whoever your stronger laners are. So in this situation, my bot lane is ahead a good amount of gold. So I decide, I got my Trinity Force, I got an extra Ruby Crystal. Let's go for this early fight. So that's exactly what we do in this situation. So after that power spike, of course, Gargoyle is going to be your next good power spike, and then pretty much just every item you complete after that is very beneficial. So now approaching team fights, typically you're going to want to look to one-shot someone or to just, CC someone for a very long period of time at any point. So you can see here, I'm channeling my Q, looking for something. The Kha'Zix goes in, loses flash, so I know he's a perfect candidate now that he has no dash or flash. So you're going to see I'm going to go onto him in a second once I do see an opportunity show up, and then I'm just going to CC him permanently. So you see, I go in on someone, I Q them, I auto E, then I ult them, and then they basically can't move and they pretty much get one-shot. You can see I'm now just attaching myself to the Nami, chasing her down. With my second ability to speed boost, with my Q, with my ult, there's just no way that anyone can run from me once I do something like that in fights. So once again, looking for enemy assassins, looking for enemy carries, enemy squishies in general. All going to be really good. And then in team fights, it's also important to use all of your CC to peel for your teammates when they're really the carries. And then lastly, ulting in onto a lot of people is really good because of the fact that you have the Gargoyle. So if you go into 3 people and then you Gargoyle right after, it's going to be very hard for anyone to kill you because you're going to get that giant shield onto yourself, which is just going to make team fights very good. Also, look at my Garen flirting with me in the team chat. That's what you love to see. You love when your teammates flirt with you in the chat. Anyways, let's get into the next part of the video. So that's going to be it for the guide today, guys. Hopefully this information was valuable to you. I might start making more champion guides in the future. I've been playing a Xin Zhao, maybe a little bit of Camille. So I'm thinking maybe those champions I might make guides on. Let me know other champions you're interested in. No, honestly, I'm probably only going to make guides on champions that I'm good at. I don't really want to give you guys guides on champs I'm not very good at. Let me know what you thought about the format, if there's anything you would like improvements on, if you thought that there wasn't enough information in a certain area, or if there's something you want me to spend more time on in future videos or future guides. Definitely let me know. If you have questions about Vi in the comments, I'm happy to answer anything. I think the highest I've been on Vi is like top 15 or so, roughly on my server. I don't know the exact number, but I've been pretty high up on this champ. Currently in the top 50 for it. Definitely playing a lot of Vi recently. She's quite strong in this meta. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.